and today I'll be walking you through a really intriguing paper by S.C. Sales titled Judgment, Authority and the Court of Truth. What's at the heart of this paper? Sales, when disagreements about truth arise, as they inevitably do, who, what has right to make final call? In other words, their conflicting truth claims. By what authority can we say this correct and that is mistaken? Why does this matter? Well, because if there's no trustworthy authority for judging truth, then all debates, what's real, what's right, what's even worth believing, those all get a little shaky, right? Without a firm standard, everything can start to feel uncertain or even chaotic. So this is a pretty consequential question, not for philosophers, but honestly, for anyone who's ever wondered, how to really know what we know. Okay, so Sales surveys a bunch of common modern answers to this, some consensus. If enough people agree, then that's what's true. Others look to power, suggesting those in charge get to set the standards of truth. Some float the idea of interpretive relativism notion that everyone's truth is uniquely shaped by their perspective, so there's no universal. And then you've got the pragmatists who argue that if idea works, like practically or functionally, that's enough to call it true. But Sales spends a lot of time pointing out where these ideas fall short. Consensus, for example, can't guarantee we're right. A society can agree on something, but it still be false. Think about how for centuries countless people agreed the earth was flat. That consensus didn't make it true. If you try grounding truth in power, well, then whatever the most powerful group says, that's truth. That feels off, right? Because truth and coercion aren't to be the same thing. If you're just believing something because forced or pressured you, can you really say you know it's true? Interpretive relativism has its own issues. Every claim is relative to a culture or individual, then statement all is relative would itself be relative. So you get a kind of philosophical cup. It loops back and undermines itself. Pragmatic theories, which honestly sometimes sound pretty tempting, like, hey, if it works, cares? Well, they can't really distinguish between something that's useful and something that's you can believe something works for you, but maybe it's still wrong about the way the world really is. So what does Sales suggest instead? Here's where things are a little grand. He looks for a standard that stands above human error, one that isn't just another opinion or trend, using what's called a transcendental method, sort of like what must be true if we're going to make sense of truth at all. He argues that there needs to be a court of truth with the ultimate authority. And, in Sales's view, this isn't found in human institutions but from the Creator, a divine source with knowledge and the right render. Within this the framework, God, as Creator, has what Sales calls ultimate jurisdiction, just like the highest court in the land except, well, for everything. Scripture, according to Sales, is how this authority gets expressed in human language, the reference point for all rival claims about reality revelation. Now you be thinking, wow, that's a lot to take in at once. And it is. I had to this paper a couple times. One thing that stands out is that Sales is not saying humans are irrelevant here. He's saying human reason and judgment are delegated, meaning we try to align our understanding with that higher court of authority, but we can still err. Disagreement is part of human, according to this view, always this final reference point, even though interpretations might get it wrong. So what does this mean for you? Well, it's an invitation to reflect on what you consider to be your standard for. Is it consensus? Is it practical effectiveness? Is something transcendent? This paper is, if anything, an encouragement not to settle for easy answers, but to examine the picture behind how we judge truth every day and